And if you want, I can explain that.
Okay. Hey, aloha everyone. Michelle Melendez with Blossom Inner Wellness and StandTogetherHawaii.com. And I'm really excited today because I have Jeffrey Stevens with the House of Jarrett on. He is if I want to say a Maui inhabitant. And so
Correct.
he was there on Maui the day of the Lahaina fires. And I actually saw his testimony. But you know what was funny is I tried to contact you. I tried to find you to get into my book, Great Maui Land Grab, which I have
Mm.
copies now, they're in the car. But to get you, because I wanted to interview you for the book, but I couldn't find you for some reason. So I'm really glad I found you now to interview you now for
It's
to
all
let people
timing.
know.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, to let
And,
people know what happened.
and I, it's kind of may seem to most people that the Lahaina thing has been put under the rug and it's kind of disappeared. That is not true.
Good.
Um,
That
they're
sounds
still trying to steal the
music to my
land.
ears.
They're trying to buy people off. Um, the government is trying to get 4 point something billion and 1.3 from Hawaii Electric, which is Maui Electric, or vice versa. And subsequent to that, the bank that Hawaii Electric owns is up for sale, unbeknownst to a lot of people. So yeah, it's shenanigans. A lack of a better term, it's high treason.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So your testimony was I remember just really there was a few testimonies, yours and Anne's, and I didn't get in touch with Anne. She is in the book, and was absolutely incredible. You're saying because you did put them on notice in that testimony, you said that it was for them to investigate the Maui fire, which they were not doing, and so you in the testimony said you put them on notice. Can you explain that?
Yeah, well, if you're in any public forum that is being recorded and you're standing in front of the administrative class, and that's what they are, administrative class. Since 1933, everything's been under administrative law. And since the Erie Railroad decisions, it's administrative law. So if I'm in a public venue and I verbally put them on notice, and I then say some specific laws. I basically quoted Title 18, which is a U.S. code, Title 18, United States Code 241 and 242. And if they have, once they've been acknowledged of that, and there's information that goes out and they've been warned that a crime has been committed and they aren't investigating it, they just violated Title 18 USC 2 and 3, which and 4. 4 is misprision of felony. And which that means is once they're told a crime has been committed, they either need to investigate it or they have to do something about it. Since they didn't, they're all liable. Um, they swore an oath to the Constitution. The Constitution is very specific. Article 6, Section 2 basically says the Constitution is the law of the land. And if they don't abide by it, they're in trouble. Law of the land are the codes. And whoever their counsel is, they're being woefully misrepresented. And because of that, they're because they didn't investigate and they didn't hold Peltier accountable and have an outside source. And like I said there, I said, how many skulls were found? Not bodies, skulls. Because they changed the parameters on which they're going to be discovering or acknowledging people dead. It's the only ones that could be identified. Okay. So the other ones are just missing, or what they call decedent. Okay. And that goes back to a 1666 law that was way back in England and the beginning of the United States. That being said, because they didn't do anything, they have violated Article 18 USC Section 2 and 3. Basically, um, it's a crime of being guilty after the fact. So you're contributing to a fraud upon the people. And even though the government has passed the Smith-Mundt Act under NDAA 1986 which was done in 2012, by the way, under Obama. It doesn't matter if you're lying to the public or not, because maxims of law says the very nature of deceit is fraud. And anyone that deceives the public when they're in a fiduciary position, they commit fraud. And if they swear an oath to the Constitution and they do that, they commit treason. Okay, that's Shower versus Rhodes. So I did put them on notice. I did say, hey, look, how many skulls are put out? Because right now they have what, 108 people that they've
102
identified.
now. It went 115, 97, and it landed at 102 with only three keiki being deceased when the school was out and they didn't have any place to go. So
yeah, and then there's 941 kids that never re-registered. And then they don't have record of them leaving the islands with their parents to follow up on it. So minimum number. I know one kid went to Molokai. One.
I know a friend of mine who knows a teacher who said that the teacher actually told her, this is secondhand information, but the teacher actually told her that they got a new roster. They got a new roster and they were told not to contact the parents of children they know are not in class because it would traumatize them more. So to that effect.
Well, yeah, okay. Well, here in Hawaii, we're dealing with what is known as Polynesian paralysis. People are, one, afraid to stand up against the government.
That's right.
And that is called tyranny. If the people are afraid of the government, it's tyranny. When the government is afraid of the people, it's called a republic. Okay, we do not live in a democracy. Well, here in Hawaii, we live in an oligarchy. Okay, it's run by the Bar Association, and we don't need to go into that. They create the laws, they manage the laws, they control the laws, and they oppress anyone that comes against them. And if you file a lawsuit like you've done, they will just kick the can down the road. Eventually they'll dismiss it. Why? Because from top to bottom, they control all the judges,
everything.
They control all the attorneys, both sides, prosecution and defense, private attorneys. If you do one thing that they don't like, you're out. Just like the one attorney that was working with Kiana Sai, trying to help people get their land back, which that was a precipice for what's happening in Lahaina now. He was basically disbarred, and they kissed up and made good, so he's back now and he can practice law, but he can't go before a court. There you go. So anyone that's trying to do the right thing can't do the right thing. So that's reality here. So they're just hiding, they're protecting this stuff. So like I said, it's an oligarchy. Most states, they're private franchises of the United States Corporation. United States Corporation was created in 1868. It was given authority and power to manage the default on debt, which happened in actually 59, but it culminated in 69. And this is 1800s. Okay. And then they created the Organic Act, which created Washington, D.C., which is Washington of the District of Columbia, a city state of 10 square miles.
Yeah,
and that's what all the states are under. They're franchises of that original. They aren't organics like Hawaii state. There's never been a Hawaii state.
Correct.
It's state of Hawaii.
And it's corporatized. And
it is. They all are. They all are.
Correct.
In fact, I actually have a list up here and I can pull it out. Even parts within the government are corporatized. Like the Maui Police Department, it's a separate corporation. The government of Maui County, it's a separate corporation. The Department of Justice, it's a separate corporation. And you can see, and they're franchises of the state of Hawaii, and that those are, which is a franchise of the United States, a corporation. And so it's just a fraud on a fraud on a fraud. So there's really no holding them accountable. And that's why I said, I had to put a caveat in there so they cannot say that they did not hear it and it's recorded. You saw it.
Yeah.
On the internet. It's an internet archive, so it's there for in perpetuity. How many skulls were found? Okay, if they pulled them off the water, different jurisdictions, so Peltier doesn't have to count it. Okay,
Oh
but
my
I
God, I didn't
know,
know that. I did not know that.
yeah. And then what was the 80 plus that washed up on Lanai?
Mhm.
Okay, they're in a different jurisdiction also. So they're just lost, what they call lost at sea. That goes back to basically when Lincoln signed, when he created the Civil War. He also created ultra vires, which is outside of law. He created the first executive order, which is General Order 100. We're
That's right.
still under General Order 100,
Mhm.
which is the Lieber Code. Okay. The Lieber Code has specific things. It's war. So we're operating on a war law, or that's why you have a war rant or a war claim. So you have to have a war rant for them to come and get you because you're at war.
Mhm.
And so since then, we've been operating under the Lieber Code. When they take your birth certificate and they register it and register the base or the etymology of register regesto. Okay, so you understand what that means is gestoing is you're alive in your mother's womb.
Mhm.
Okay, you're born, you're alive, not in your mother's womb. You've just been gestoed. Everything after that is re-gesto or registering. So it takes it
Interesting.
from one place, like, and it puts it someplace else, different jurisdiction, different place
And
of living.
it also gives you to the corporation because it turned us into
The
law. It turned
registry,
us, yes.
well, actually, I don't know. How deep do you want to go into that one? Because
Well,
I'm at,
let's stay on topic with the because the notice of liability, you gave them a notice of liability.
right,
You
right.
did that. So what's happening with that? With the
They're basically they've been given notice. Whatever they do that it doesn't follow that notice, they're committing treason, and they
so
can
how
because they're at war. The civil law operates as a subset of military law. Once you get into the realm of going into peace, you then bring in what is called the Rome Statute because you're in interregnum. Um, it's been acknowledged by what Sam Lillikoy did with the U.S. military that we're actually at war. There is presently work behind the scenes for a treaty of peace,
So
and
for
that's
those of
from
you
the kingdom.
who don't know about that, what that basically was to show the that the United States corporation is at war with Hawaii, and they're where Hawaii is an occupied territory. It's not a state. It's never been fully annexed. If you get the Great Maui Land Grab book.com, it actually says it right in the beginning. The Anti-Calais from Molokai actually shared the whole story about how Hawaii was never fully annexed and this and that we are actually under an occupation. So people
Right,
don't know that when they especially when they come to visit, they think they're in the United States of America.
right. Exactly. And just because it says state of, that's corporation. That's the management entity
Mm-hmm.
over the government that the people are acquiescing to.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but when it comes around and the kingdom comes forward, all those people that are doing the wrongful things and harming the people of Hawaii, in particularly the Kanaka Maoli that were annihilated in Lahaina and every other
That's
place.
the elders, everybody who doesn't know what that means. The
Right.
elders.
And so and it's also original indigenous. Okay. You have a bloodline and you're born in Hawaii. Okay. I'm Hawaiian because I live here. And then you have natural Hawaiians or people that are born here. Okay. Now, if your birth certificate is registered, that's regestoing, it converts the document into the United States citizen. The paper is a United States citizen. You are not a U.S. You can never be a U.S. citizen. You have to swear an oath and all this other stuff. Okay. The document comes from a corporation. The document in all caps is a U.S. citizen. When it's registered, that's a U.S. citizen. And they make us the trustees for that document as surety for whatever debt is created by the corporation. See, it's just shuffling paper. It's all it's called unlawful conversion, and no contract is valid if both parties don't have full knowledge of what the contract is. Okay, and you have to be acknowledgeable of a contract. And all this was done. The registration happened when you're a couple days old, month old. Okay, and then after 7 years, you're lost at sea or a decedent. Okay, and so you're presumed dead, but until you have a
I want to explain a little
certificate of
bit.
death. Yeah, so
let me go into that. Let's go into that next. But for you guys who believe you're U.S. citizens, you are a living soul. You are a living man or you're a living woman. That's what you are. Your full caps name is the corporatized fictitious entity that the corporation uses to deal with you, because it cannot deal. The United States corporation can't deal with you as a living soul, because you are under God. You are not under the corporation. So the only way that the corporation was able to deal with you as in their system is to corporatize you and put you into a fictitious entity, which is that piece of paper which has your full caps name in it. Now they can deal with that fictitious name, and they say that it's you. But it's not you. You are a living soul. We have power over the government because we are under God and not the government. So I wanted to say that first. If you guys are going, what is he talking about? This is a lot.
Yeah, it's a and people. I'm just touching the surface. I teach nationwide, and I basically go back to the origination of this, which is basically 3,571 BC, okay, before Christ. And the origin starts, it's the Chaldean laws that became Babylonian laws. So the Chaldeans, Babylonians, same thing, but the Chaldeans were before then. All the religious practices of today follow Chaldean law, which was Babylon, then Persia, then Grecia, then Rome. Rome is still existent. That's what we're under right now. We're under Roman law. It's the same thing. It's the Bible talks about as mystery Babylon. Yeah. What is mystery Babylon? It's a legal, financial, religious system, and the religion is the money. Okay, so that's just a real quick overview, but it's the exact same thing there as now. But I basically take it from back then, show exactly where it came in and did what it did and how it split. When the Roman Empire did it split from the east and the west. And then you have a portion that goes to north, portion that goes to south. It reunites in 1540. And from 1540 on, we've been basically under the ruling of the Sestaki Trust, which means you cannot own anything. The Vatican claims power and authority over everything. Then there's the people that set that up, and the banking system now is basically all under a guy started by a guy named Ilhan Bacharach, and Ilhan Isaac Bacharach to be precise. His grandson became Rothschild. And I say became Rothschild. It's just like House of Jarrett. Well, that's where I'm from, my biology. Who I am is my first and middle name, my given name. That's who I am. I don't get my parents didn't get a determination of what they could name my last name. Okay. That being said, pull it forward. You are your given name. You come from a family lineage. Mine is Jarrett or Yare in France. Okay. So that being said, that's why I use Jeffery Stephen of the House of Jarrett. just like
That makes sense now.
Ilhan and Bachrach. He was from the town of Bachrach, Germany. He moved to Frankfurt, Germany, and his last name became Bauer. Why? Because he built a building. If you're a builder, you're a Bauer. Okay. And from there, they hung a red shield on the outside, or Rothschild, which became in English Rothschild. Okay. Then there's 5 sons that moved out from Mayor Amschel, and they're the ones that control the entire world, their banking system.
They're the first bankers. They were the first bankers way back in this. So we're under ancient laws, you guys. But the great thing is when we learn them, and obviously, Jeff, I'd love to know where you learned this stuff, because it's really been just kind of puzzle piecing things together in different books and different sites that I've been following. And it's absolutely amazing the extent of the history that you know. But you guys, we are under ancient law, and we can use this when we understand it. So don't try to use this if you don't understand it, because they know it way better than you, and they can trick you in so many different ways. But when you really understand the like the law merchant, which is an ancient law, which we are still under, we can that's what Cal Washington, who I interviewed last, is helping people learn, is the law merchant, and how to stop these basically demon criminals from continuing to harm us in so many different ways. But so what's the next step for you guys for you with Lahaina, with holding these people accountable? And also I want to talk about the boat captain that you talked about.
Okay, yeah, 200, over 250, 3 different trips that he pulled out with his crew, over 250 people out of the ocean. I won't give his name because they don't want him saying what he has to say, and he's basically keeping a low profile until there's an actual investigation. There will be an investigation, and I will be part of that. The reason I say that is I actually have.
And I want to pop in here too, because when the couple of ladies that I interviewed also said another boat captain, he pulled 150 bodies out of the water. And you're saying that there's different boat captains that did this. They all had to sign an NDA, non-disclosure agreement, and for them not to speak out the truth, which honestly, I think that's under duress. I don't think that would stand up in law. And these people do need to come forward soon, because that is a crime.
They will be protected. What has happened because of the Lahaina fires, and what is actually going on just before that, and it's very amazing that on July 4th of the same year, literally 4 days before that, the proclamation of the Kingdom of Hawaii went out. And the actual lineal heir to Kamehameha III and Kamehameha the First, Maui, it means King Lorenzo, his information went out. It's been proved by 2 genealogists of his bloodline lineage. So he actually holds the allodial title. That proclamation went out on July 4th. I personally published it in a federal court case, in a state court case, and the Bureau of Conveyance. It is now being sent out to the treaty holders for the Kingdom of Hawaii. And because of the work that I've done, I've been appointed as the Deputy Attorney General. There's my signature there, and oath of commission. So we're going to go after them. American laws do not exist in Hawaii. The only reason they exist is because we allow them to exist and we abide by them.
That's true. Compliance.
Realize it's corporate law. It is not common law. God's law, common law, the Mo'i, the king, it's common law. So what's going to happen is these people that signed the NDA, that NDA is with them. We're going to hold them accountable to Hawaiian law. And if they lied and they hid the truth, the punishment is you leave or you're executed, one of the two.
Because that's treason. Treason, you do hang when you
exactly. And so that is coming forward. It's slow because it's got to be meticulous. We've already got verification from the Pacific Islanders, such as Tonga and what the heck is the other one? Tonga, Fiji, and the third one is I'm trying to remember the other kingdom. I was on the call. Brain fart.
That's all right.
So New Zealand, the Kingdom of New Zealand. And just so you know, the Kingdom of New Zealand, the same thing happened to them as happened to Hawaii.
Oh yeah, it's all over the world because these demons are all over the world.
It's a corporate takeover by the Knights of Chancery or Chancery Inn, and they have been manipulating everything since 1540. In fact, the Chancery Inn was created by Henry VIII, and they actually set up to control the slaves of Ireland, then Scotland, and they spread out from there. And you're talking 500 years of their power structure. So it's not just going to go away overnight.
No.
But the Kingdom of Hawaii, because it was taken over unlawfully and outside of international law and humanitarian law, and Clinton signed the apology bill, the Kingdom of Hawaii has the lawful authority to come forward. Will there be a two-state solution? Something will come about like that, but these people will be held accountable. They just think they're getting away with it right now. That's why I made the public announcement. It not only holds the council accountable and the chief of police, the coroner, but everyone around him, including their attorneys and counsel.
That's right.
The governor, because it's a videotape, they all are noticed. And you've sent out affidavits.
Yep.
I've sent out affidavits. And right now I'm in a major battle, a federal court case against the state of Hawaii. And particularly what they operate as is not in accordance with the Constitution, which they've all sworn an oath to. And because of that, they've committed treason. Mine is a civil case for trespasses on me, the living man. And, well, let's see. They could have dismissed it back in April, but they've been kicking the can down the road, and the judge can't dismiss it because I've already found a lower court judge in, let's say they basically can't get out of it. If they do that, I appeal it to straight to the Supreme Court. I don't even go to appeals because I don't have to. The Supreme Court has original jurisdiction on all trespasses of the Constitution. So I go directly to them, and it's already been adjudicated. There's 23 court cases that identical. So I'm going at that saying, look, you have to abide by the Constitution. Stop your shenanigans. And they don't want to stop.
Well, they're a corporation, so there's actually they're side by side. Like the Constitution is still here if we stand up for it. If we don't, it's their corporate laws that they get to have in place of that, and standing up and making them holding them accountable and doing notices of liability is what is our kuleana, is what is our responsibility. Because I feel, and I'm guessing you do too, this is a spiritual war, and we have to choose. The people have to choose. If you're not choosing, that's a choice. If you comply, that's a choice. So we choose God or Satan, because that's the kind of the war that's happening right now. And it started from the beginning of the Bible. And so people they can't just sit by and act like, oh, nothing's happening. We have to stand up. So I want to remind everybody ways to stand up, or just join standtogetherhawaii.com. I send out actions, simple actions, and sending an email, testifying on different bills that we have here on the states. But also you can use what I send for your own area, like the affidavit. You can use that against your city council and county council members. And also I very much recommend joining empowermovement.org with Cal Washington, empowermovement.org. He has a ton of information on there that you guys will be able to learn from. And Jeff, I love what you're up to. I love hearing they're going to be held accountable. I also, love knowing that there's other people out there that know, like the boat captain, that know that there's way more, hundreds, if not thousands of people who have died. I've gone to the memorial. There was 138 flags or crosses of deaths, and that's just at the memorial. Imagine people like the non-documented people who work in the hotels, because there's a lot of non-documented here because they're cheaper labor. And there was a lot in Maui. Who's counting those bodies?
Right. Yeah. It's very nefarious. God wins in the end. And I have a little different background story. I've been clinically dead twice. I've been, this life experience that we're having, it's meant to be joyous. But those people that do not understand, comprehend, or whatever term you want to use, that we are living souls animating an earth suit, that we're here to help each other and enjoy life. Then there's a whole nother group of people that don't believe that, and they just want to control. You could say it's Lucifer or whoever. We can blame Lucifer or Satan or whatever for whatever. It's our own choices that allow the division, cause division, pit one group against the other.
That's what they love.
In God's sight, we're all the same. He doesn't care. It's like, look, I play nice in the sandbox, but I've got rules, and so it's all going to come to a head. And there's things that are coming down the road internationally right now. And I'm not sure this is the venue to get into it, but there's some financial things that have happened over the last 3 weeks.
Well, we can do another interview on that.
That literally is going to change the entire world. And it's all pushing for, as of January 1, 2025, all nations have to be CBDC compliant, worldwide compliant. They may not have it in place, but this was a determination that was done 2.5 years ago, July.
See, that's concerning to me. That's really concerning to me, because that means that the central banks again own everybody, and that's not the only way to do exchanges. CBDCs, I think, is very scary for
it's very nefarious, because say, for instance, we're having this conversation, okay, and they go, "Oh, we don't like you," and what you're saying, Michelle and Jeffrey, so we're just going to close your bank accounts.
Yeah, well, that's what they did for the trucking, the truckers in Canada.
So yeah, and so if people think it can't happen here, guess again. It's the same banking system. It's the very same banking system. It's run through the IMF, International Monetary Fund, okay? And you have the SDR and a couple other things, which is SDR, special drawing rights, and that's from the International Bank of Settlements, of basically Rothschilds again, and the Vatican. And so they basically corralled it where all the escape doors are locked. The only way for it to be stopped is if people unite. That's why they're pitting the Republicans against the Democrats, and I'm neither. Okay, the Republicans,
it's all
blacks against the whites,
it's
Asians
a show
against the blacks.
An absolute show.
It's all BS. Guess what? We all have red blood cells. Okay, 4 types with Rh positive, Rh negative. So basically a maximum of 16 different types, but it's all red blood cells. Plasma is all the same. So I can give you my plasma or anyone else's. we're of one blood. And funny thing is, Kamehameha, I think it was the third, basically said in 1839, he declared the rights of man. We are all of one blood.
Mm-hmm.
Opening sentence, done. We are all under God.
Yeah.
Now they had a different name for him. Some people say Jesus, I say Yeshua or Jesus. Jesus is an English term for an Aramaic name, which is Yeshua.
Mm-hmm.
It's irrelevant in that you can use different names. It's the one God that creates and holds all things together.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not separate from you right now at all,
Mm-hmm.
or anyone listening. We may be 1,000 miles apart, 8,000 miles apart, maximum 12,000 miles. Okay, so we may be that far apart, but we're not far apart because it says God holds all things together. And he's spirit, which means he's holding things together in the spirit realm, holding the physical together so we can have this experience. Why are we having this experience? Why is there good? Why is there evil? Well, I tell you what, I'm a chocoholic. And before I had chocolate, I didn't know what chocolate was like. And now I have chocolate. It's like, oh my gosh, I can't get enough. You can't know warm unless there's cold. You
Yeah.
can't know good unless there's bad.
And you can't make a
And
choice if there's not good
right,
and evil. You have to be able to choose.
exactly. And that's why he gives us free will. And he's like going,
Mm.
okay, well, the kids that didn't want to play right in the sandbox, guess what? You get to go over there by yourselves. And in the future, in the realm of God, whether it's an ethereal thing or we're out in the cosmos, it will be those that live in the heart of love and
Yes.
charity. And there's a great saying that was pronounced at a wedding: live in charity and steadfast love, God will dwell with you. And that's the bottom line. God's law is very simple. Micah, walk humbly with your God, deal honestly with your fellow man, and love mercy. That's it. That's the 10 Commandments in 3 sentences.
I love it.
I
I
mean,
love it. I love it.
can we not do that? And then you have all these people that want to control everyone else, make arbitrary laws for their power structure because they have finite minds. They think that this is the end all be all, and it's not.
Well,
So
they also feel that they're better than us, that we're their slaves. And this has been going on for ancient
right.
times. I mean, this is ancient. This control, the people. And now the people are waking up. And this is, Cal says that this is the end game. This is it. These people will be removed because this is but we need to take our action. We need to do what is in our hearts to do, what we're called to do, what we can do. And it sounds like you guys are doing that, Jeffrey. I love it.
Right. Well, I'm fighting it. Like I said, I'm going to hold them accountable from a different standpoint. From the kingdom's perspective, not from man's perspective. They control, like I said, they control all the exits, and particularly here in Hawaii, the law says I can't practice law, even though I've studied a gazillion books. I've been studying law for 26 years, really intense the last 8 years, just because of my life. And then all of a sudden you have COVID and the fire and all this other stuff. And then you go down these rabbit trails and the stuff that I'm telling you. What I know is 26 years of study.
Yeah.
And so I'm doing what I can in the state of Hawaii, and again, the corporation. In order to practice law in Hawaii, you have to be a member of the Bar Association. So if you don't do what they say,
Yeah.
and that means judges, any attorney, anyone, you have to, it's a mandatory accountability. So if you don't do what they want, ergo they're the rulers, you cannot practice law, which means you cannot influence, judge, or interpret law.
Yeah, and I feel like we need to be creating our own system, because their system, I feel, is so hijacked under the corporation, and it doesn't support human life. I mean, it doesn't support freedom. It doesn't support rights and freedom. And I really feel that it, like, we can and we do have the power. It just takes, sometimes more than what people want to give, because everybody's like, well, what about my Social Security, and what about my pension, and what about this and what about that? There are contracts. Everything is contracts, everything. So when we actually, this is what I'll be doing next for Hawaii, as far as 5G goes and the smart meters, is doing, when they have the 5G, they've actually contracted with us unknowingly, and we can actually contract back and say, yes, we agree to having these things if you can prove that they're safe. So it's a what is the word? It starts with a C. Can't remember the word right now, but that's what we should be doing, is taking our stand and going, okay, you want to give us 5G, prove it's safe, and then we'll accept that. And if you don't prove it's safe, then what's going to happen is we're going to do a bill of exchange where you're going to be fined until you prove it's safe, and then you can bring that in, or you can keep it here, because it is here. It is here now. So, but I want to finish up. Is there any last things you would like to share?
Oh, way too much up here.
It's so, that's so much.
I'm working with a small group of people. We are developing a system, and maxims of law 2503, basically the way you get out of a thing is the way you got into it. And you have two major contracts. The first one that you didn't know about, which is easy to negate because it was done under fraud, and as a 7-year-old child or a newborn, you couldn't know that you're getting into a contract. Yeah. And since your parents were under duress, they couldn't get into a contract. So therefore, the contract that is created for them as a U.S. citizen, they basically subvert it and create customs saying that is now law. We're developing a system that is one document in, one document out for your birth certificate, one document in, one document out for your Social Security. And everything is built on the original trust. You have to have an estate for a trust. They had to establish the estate, which is the birth certificate, your parent's signature. On that estate, they created the trust, which is the registration, which creates the U.S. citizen. And then it's just educating people how to live in that system.
That's right.
And so with me, I'm the executor. Actually, I hold the office of executor. I'm not the executor. But in my document, I say executor of the estate, such and such, all caps name, and then what it holds. And then I've moved all that stuff into a trust, and they still don't abide by it. So at present, we're fighting a legal battle.
I believe that's where the bills of exchange would come in at that point, because if they're not,
they do, but I'm like, that's cutting off the branches. I'm going to go down and dig the damn roots out. And because they could have operated in honor, they could have operated in respect, and they haven't. And you give them every opportunity to do the right thing, and they give you the middle finger, or here's a hand. It's like, okay, I'll tolerate that. I'm a very tolerant person. I'll tolerate to that a bit, but it's just like, stop doing that. Stop doing that. Stop pulling on my ears. Stop holding me down, because someday I'm going to get up and I'm going to punch you in the nose. And
I love it.
Right now I'm punching them in the nose, and they don't know what to do because they're locked. Their laws are fixed, and we're using their laws against them.
That's what the power we have. That's the power we have.
We're working on specific lawsuits to free the people from this system. And at the same time, the kingdom's coming forward. And as you repatriate into the kingdom, okay, and you don't have to live in Hawaii to patriate into the kingdom, and you can repatriate back into the United States of America. I don't see that coming forward for decades. But the kingdom of Hawaii, you basically can be an American citizen, which is not a U.S. citizen, and be a Kingdom of Hawaii subject.
So I want to
Okay, and
pause you
so we're
there
working
because
on that
we have
too.
to wrap it up. We have to wrap it up. But is there a
So
way
we're
people can
working on
find
it. We're
you?
working
Do you
on it.
have a website or anything that people can find you at?
You can find some of our stuff at People of the Lawful Way PMA, and just
People of the
fill it out.
Lawful Way PMA.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And we're on there, and I actually have 10 videos that go about the history, so you can start learning the actual paperwork. Do not start the paperwork until you're ready,
Mm,
unless you can repeat what I have and own it, that you're a living soul. Okay, and if you're a living soul, Jeremiah 1:5, easy. Before I knitted you in your mother's womb, I knew you. This is Old Testament, has never been rebutted, which means we are pre-existent to this earth suit.
yes.
It also
Absolutely.
says in John that, okay, in the beginning there was God, and there's the Word, and the Word was God. And by the Word, all things were created. Okay, so the Word and God are God, but they're also separate. And in Revelation talks, Jesus is the Word of God. That means Jesus created all this thing. Then you go to Romans, it says, don't you know that you are joint heirs with Christ? And Mark, one day you will judge angels. You're a joint heir with the one who created everything around you, and you think this is it?
Yeah.
Act like a queen,
Yeah.
act like a king, and realize that the people that think that they have authority over you only have it because you are accepting that presumption of authority.
That's right. It's compliance again. It's always about compliance. And when you don't
Absolutely.
comply and you stand up, and that's why we're here. Because it takes something to stand up. It's not, you can't, you do need to pull on your courage strings to stand up to people, you know. And
Comply with the law of the land. The statutes are not the law of the land, but do not consent to their abuses of that, because
yeah,
you can do things according to statute and rule, mandate, that sort of thing, in violation of the Constitution. Okay, that's a Title 18 USC 241, 242. They're violating the Constitution under color of law.
mm-hmm.
Okay, so realize that's what they're doing all the time. And you think it is naturally the right and the law. It is not.
No, it is
Read the
not.
Constitution. You have
Yes.
unalienable rights, and of those, they only name three.
Mm-hmm.
Three of billions, gazillions rights.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so realize that God created this earth for us. We created a government system that the Constitution corrals and controls the people in government so they don't get out of control. Well,
They're out of
that's been
control.
usurped. They're out of
Mm-hmm.
control. It's been usurped.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you so much, Jeffrey, for your time. I always end with the prayer. Would you like to do the prayer today? Because I know you're a man of God, and
Okay, sure.
awesome.
Heavenly Father, you know my brothers and sisters throughout this land, Hawaii, and upon the entire surface of the earth, and those that are underwater, or underground, or in the air, in space. You know our needs, you know our desires, and you know what you have planned for us. And you wish for us glory and beauty and success and happiness and joy. Yet right now, those that have not taken your path, do not walk in mercy towards their fellow man, and do not walk in honesty towards their fellow man, and do not walk humbly with you, are acting in such ways that do not conform to what you have for not only them, but everyone else. So we ask you, Father God, to bless the people, my brothers and sisters throughout the land, from here and into the eternities, with your peace, which surpasses all understanding, with your protective and guiding angels, Father, and your blessed hope of the harpazo, the rapture, that one day we will be with you, and forever you where you are, we will be. We thank you for this. Go forth before my brothers and sisters, guide their feet, and give them joy this day and every day until that glorious day. In Yeshua's mighty name, amen.
Yes, and so it is. I love it. All right, you guys. Well, again, check out the links. I'm going to leave the link for Jeffrey's site in the description, and also just a quick shout out to the sponsor of this channel, Ace of Coins, ACEOFCOINS.com. If you need tax help, you want to reduce your taxes, you want to buy Bitcoin tax free, or license your image that's being used by big tech, check out Ace of Coins. And also a shout out to the Voice of Kona radio show, because this is on the Voice of Kona radio 100.5 FM. I love you, all of those listening on the island. Much aloha. And Jeffrey, much aloha for Mahalo for joining me today.
Mahalo. Great seeing you finally.
I know. Let's chat. Hold on a second.